Yo, so what is up everybody on YouTube? We are back today with a brand new video, and for today's video we are going to be doing what I think is a very interesting career simulation in Julian Newman. As we've seen Julian Newman go from a guy who was supposed to be so good in his early high school years, now to somebody that they're not even sure if he will make the NBA. But of course we're here today to find out how that actually will go. And before we really hop into it, please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you enjoy career simulations and you know the vibes. As you can see, number 4 overall right there, Julian Newman surprisingly gets drafted a lot higher than I really expected to the Miami Heat. And in all honesty, he has a pretty solid team around him. An 89 overall Jimmy Butler, an 89 overall Bam Adebayo. He has Tyler Herro. He just has a very solid team around him. And honestly, he can battle for some playing time pretty early on because Kendrick Nunn is the starter. But for year 1, we're going to throw him into the G League because I feel like realistically, that's probably how it will go. He's going to need a little bit more time to develop. Luka Doncic in year 1 here gets MVP, and our Miami Heat do indeed miss the playoffs. So, of course, we go right to the finals. You get the Magic right here with Jonathan Isaac, Zaire Williams, up against, of course, a very big bomb squad in the Pelicans with Zion Williamson and all the pieces he has around him, so never an easy series to go up against them. And as you can see in year 1 of the sim right here, Zion goes ahead and gets himself a Finals MVP award already. So moving into year 2, just from throwing him into the G League, it helped his progression a lot. As you can see, Julian Newman is now an 81 overall already only in year 2 of the sim. And of course, in this sim, we did put his potential in the 90s because we want to see him do good. Luka Doncic right there getting a regular season MVP in year 2, and with the addition of Julian Newman, we actually do end up making the playoffs as about the 5 seed, so not too bad. Julian Newman, solid stats for his first year playing, 14.4 points per game, kind of lackluster on the assist, but at least he is getting some buckets off the bench, and actually, it turns out that they've actually adjusted him into the starting lineup at this point in the season. So playoff mode, Julian Newman may just be activated. As we find ourselves in a very tough first round matchup here up against the Magic team that was in the finals last year and lost 4-2 to the Pelicans. So not necessarily who you want to be versing in the playoffs. Although we are giving them a great series, coming back from a 3-1 deficit and ultimately taking it in game 7. Let's see, where's Julian Newman? 7, 5, and 4 on 3 of 7 shooting, so I guess not terrible stats because he didn't jack at all. He only got up a few shots in general, so we will take it. Moving on to the second round here, up against LaMelo Ball and the Chicago Bulls, and we actually do end up coming out on top yet again. Julian Newman there having a very lackluster game, shooting only 1 for 6, but at least we got the job done, moving us on to the Eastern Conference Finals up against Kemba Walker and the Celtics. And unfortunately, we could not come out on top that game, despite a pretty solid game from Julian Newman there. So back in the finals here we are, Pelicans yet again, but this time up against the Boston Celtics. And let's see who actually comes out on top in year 2. 4-0 sweep for the Pelicans. Zion gets himself yet another Finals MVP in this sim. And unfortunately, in these sims, that is a very common thing. So we're going to have to get used to it. Year 3 here, we got an 85 overall Julian Newman now. Of course, the starter, which is definitely something you love to see. He helps us get to the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with 56 wins on the season, 21.6 points per game, actually leading the Miami Heat in points, Julian Newman. And looking at his stat line, I'm pretty surprised that he's able to pull down 4 rebounds a game at only 5'7", but hey, it is 2K. So first round, we got a matchup here up against the Toronto Raptors. And as you can see, it did not turn out well, despite a pretty good game there from Julian Newman. To try and help, we got blasted by them 4-1, losing in 5. Putting us back into the finals here yet again. Magic versus Pelicans, a rematch from 2 years ago. And can the Magic get it done this time? They actually do in 7, beating the Pelicans, defeating Zion, taking it in 7. Zaire Williams gets Finals MVP. Moving into year 4 of the sim here. Julian Newman now at an 88 overall, the second highest overall on this entire team. behind only our 93 overall Bam Adebayo. And honestly, at this point, I'm going to say this team is honestly a real championship contender. And I didn't even really notice that he ended up getting all first rookie team, but he did apparently. Yet again, we do make playoffs, the 4th seed this year. And let's see how Julian Newman actually performed. Not too bad. A little step back from last year, of course. 16 points per game. 3 points. I really wish his assist numbers would get up a little bit, considering he is the point guard, but it is what it is. As long as he can go out there and get us some buckets, I guess I can't really complain too much. And honestly, that's probably a reason as to why his stats kind of took a little step back. Apparently, we acquired Dejounte Murray at some point throughout the season, and he's technically the starter with 34 minutes a game right now. And I did not know that, honestly. So let's take a look and see Julian Newman getting 31. So they're kind of splitting, but Dejounte Murray's actually getting a little bit more of the minutes. First round of the playoffs, we get matched up against the Magic, obviously the former championship team, and we actually come out on top, which is huge. Not a great game there from Julian Newman, but we will still take it, catapulting us into the second round to match up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, who we also end up routing 4-2. Julian Newman, tough game yet again there, shooting only 4 for 11. You don't love to see it. Eastern Conference Finals here up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we yet again come out on top. Very barely there, though, that game only winning 106-104. Julian Newman shooting 5 for 15 that game. So not great yet again. As you can see, it is the last year on Julian Newman's contract. So I'm kind of interested to see if he is going to want to come back next season or not. We are finally in the finals here. We finally make it to the finals here, up against Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans. And unfortunately, we get swept 4-0, and Zion gets himself his third finals MVP. Definitely not his first. So here in year 5, Julian Newman now up to a 90 overall. Bam Adebayo, of course, still at a 94 overall. So this team is an absolute contender if you ask me. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets MVP of the regular season in year 5. And we finish as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Not too bad at all. Julian Newman putting up 19.2 points per game. Starting to get his assist numbers up slowly but surely with 5.8 a game. And apparently this year, we bring in Lonzo Ball off the bench, so that even hurt Julian Newman's numbers a little bit as well, but still a very solid season from him nonetheless. First round matchup up against the Knicks, and embarrassingly enough, we take it to a 7-game series, but we do actually come out on top. I would have been very pressed if we would have lost to that Knicks team. Second round here up against this Raptors team that did bounce us from the playoffs last year, but we don't have to worry about it this year as Mikey Williams and Pascal Siakam were not enough this year. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals up against the Magic, and unfortunately we cannot get it done. Despite a pretty good game there from Julian Newman dropping 20, we couldn't get it done. Pelicans versus the Magic yet again in the finals. This is like the 3rd or 4th time they matched up, and it's pretty much been Pelicans every time except for that one. Yet again, they get another one. Moving on to year 6 here, Julian Newman at a 91 overall. Bam Adebayo at a 94 overall. Hopefully we don't acquire any random point guards in the season that kind of skew Julian Newman's stats this year. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets MVP yet again, and we finish the number 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. 21.5 points per game and 6.4 assists per game. Definitely trending upwards number-wise, and you love to see it. Even though we have Dennis Schroeder, apparently he was not enough to skew the numbers too negatively in Julian Newman's sight. First round here, we are up against Mikey Williams and Pascal Siakam, and we actually rout them with a huge game there from Julian Newman. Despite not the greatest shooting of all time, 9 for 20, he still got it done. Second round right here, up against the New York Knicks, and they make it out of the first round. And wow, they beat us 4-1. You don't love to see that. And Julian Newman shot 1 for 10 that game. That couldn't have been anything to help us at all. Pelicans back in the finals here, up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Kind of interested to see how this goes, as it seems like it's pretty back and forth series. Zion gets finals MVP, and the Pelicans get yet another championship in this sim. We're now in year 7, and of the previous 6 years, I'm pretty sure that Zion got like 4 Finals MVPs, which is kind of ridiculous. Julian Newman now to 93 apparently made the All-Defensive First Team last year as well. Didn't really know that he was going to be known for his defense on the NBA level, but apparently he is. Apparently his perimeter defense has improved a whole lot. Mikey Williams here, a regular season MVP. And let's just see how good our Heat were in this year. So we finished about the 5 seed, right behind the Magic, not too bad. And let's see, Julian Newman, 24 points per game, and he finally got those assist numbers up to something more respectable at 9 assists per game. Definitely like to see his playmaking side improve that much. We have a first round matchup here up against the Orlando Magic. Yet again, it feels like we're always up against them in the first round, and they are never an easy team to beat. Although, thankfully, we do make it past them, as I really want Julian Newman to be able to make kind of a playoff run this year. We've had some tough luck in the playoffs, despite getting there just about every year. It just hasn't been working our way. Second round matchup here up against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, and they never stood a chance, getting 4-0 swept. Huge game there from Julian Newman. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals up against the Toronto Raptors. And it's a tough-fought series at the moment, going to Game 7, and yet again, another tough defeat. Mikey Williams drops 46 points to assure that we cannot move on to the finals here. So we're going to get a Pelicans versus Raptors finals here. Let's see how it actually turns out. I can see this honestly going either way, because Mikey Williams and Pascal Siakam are no joke of a duo. But yet again, Zion Williamson takes it and gets Finals MVP. Moving on to year 8 of the sim now. The year is 2029. A 93 overall Julian Newman. A 96 overall Bam Adebayo. 2-time all-first defensive team for Julian Newman. And honestly, this team is coming together pretty solid. We have some very, very good talent that I could see us easily winning a championship. Mikey Williams here getting regular season MVP, and let's see how we actually finished on the season. Looking at the league standings, we finished as the number 2 seed, behind only the Toronto Raptors in the Eastern Conference. And as far as the season stats go, let's check just how good Julian Newman was. So 22.9 points per game and 7 assists per game. Not too bad at all. Still grabbing about 4 rebounds a game, which I'm really not sure because he is 5'7", but that's kind of interesting. First round here, we got the Chicago Bulls and LaMelo Ball taking it to Game 7 with us, so we're going to hop into Simcast and see just how it goes. And honestly, it was a pretty close game, but we end up routing them 117-109, clutching up to move on to the second round. Big game there from Bam Adebayo, dropping 32 points, and Julian Newman doing his thing as well, dropping 22 in that game. Moving us on to the second round up against a Washington Wizards team with Amani Bates. And as we know from prior sims, Amani Bates is an absolute problem. And not who you like to run into in the playoffs, as we get 4-0 swept in the second round here by him and the Washington Wizards. Bam Adebayo tried to do his thing. Julian Newman had an okay game in all honesty, but we just couldn't get it done. So it's going to be a Grizzlies with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson up against Amani Bates and the Wizards in the finals. Definitely a little bit different. Nice to see the Pelicans not running it up completely, as Amani Bates actually ends up getting Finals MVP in year 9. So let's just hop into the next season and hope our playoff luck can be a little bit better, man. A 93 overall Julian Newman, a 97 overall Bam Adebayo, and we have some solid kind of role players on the squad as well. I really just want a good playoff run this year. MVP of the regular season, of course, was Mikey Williams. And checking the All-NBA teams for the first time so far, Julian Newman making the All-NBA second team, as well as us being the second seed in the Eastern Conference. Julian Newman putting up 26.1 points per game and 8.1 assists per game to go along with that, and somehow also improving his rebounding to 4.7 rebounds per game. So, huge year from Julian Newman, definitely making strides. Let's see if it will carry over into the playoffs here, up against the LaMelo Ball-led Chicago Bulls. As apparently it does not. We get destroyed 4-1. Let's see if Julian Newman at least had a good game. He did not, shooting 4 for 12. We just could not get it done, and it's every year come playoff time, we just end up choking right now. Thunder up against the Raptors here. A Thunder squad: Colin Gillespie, Jalen Green, Isaac Okoro. A very good team right there. Up against, of course, Jaylen Brown, Mikey Williams, and Pascal Siakam. And in year 9, it looks like the Raptors are going to take it as they end up winning 4-2. Mikey Williams gets Finals MVP. So we hop right into year 10 of this sim. Julian Newman, 92 overall. Bam Adebayo, 97 overall. Julian Newman's accolades are starting to build up as well. Starting to make some all-star teams, some all-NBA teams. You love to see it. Getting about 36 minutes per game at that point guard position. So in year 10 here, yet again, Mikey Williams gets another regular season MVP with the Toronto Raptors. We finished the number 2 seed yet again, and Julian Newman putting up 21 points per game and 7.6 assists per game. Definitely not too bad at all. Brandon Clark as well, coming off the bench. I didn't even really notice that. Maybe a mid-season acquisition, but definitely something worth noting because he is a pretty solid player. First round, up against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. We end up destroying them 4-1, thankfully. We needed some glimmer of hope. Giannis could not get it done. Julian Newman only shooting 3 for 10, shooting all threes that game. Not shooting one shot inside the three-point line. Second round here, we destroy the Toronto Raptors, beating them 4-0. Pretty solid game there from Julian Newman, somehow grabbing 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 12 assists. But okay, going to a Game 7 here in the Eastern Conference Finals up against the Philadelphia 76ers. And can we please come out on top and move to the finals? That's what we would need here as we end up doing it. Getting a 138-point victory, 33 points right there for Julian Newman, shooting 11 for 19, so having a very good game there. Finals time finally, up against De'Aaron Fox-led Sacramento Kings team. And it's all tied up 2-2. This is anybody's series. We get down a game in the series. You don't love to see it. So we're going to hop into Simcast and see just what's happening in Game 6. So in Game 6, we end up taking it by 10, 138-128, and hopping into Game 7 here. Of course, 155-122. You love to see it. Julian Newman and the boys are going to get themselves their first NBA championship down in Miami. And honestly, it's about time. We've had so many good years, and we just could not get it done come playoff time every year. Lonzo Ball throwing it up cannot get it done. 157-122 is the final score, and I'm definitely interested to see which one of the guys on the squad actually ends up getting Finals MVP, because I could definitely see it being either Julian Newman or Bam Adebayo, both having some fantastic games throughout the playoffs. And I'm so happy we finally got this man a championship, and I'm so happy that his career has been turning out so good so far. 5'7" right there, looking so small amongst the Giants. Looking at the box score from that game, 42-point performance there from Julian Newman, shooting very good, 17 for 22 and 8 for 10 from 3 with 12 assists that game. That is huge. So who gets this Finals MVP award? Julian Newman actually gets it, having a ginormous impact in the playoffs in year 10. Let's hope we can carry that momentum over into year 11 here. I really hope we can. A 92 overall Julian Newman, now an NBA champion, a Finals MVP, 97 overall Bam Adebayo as well. And in year 11 here, Cade Cunningham actually gets a regular season MVP with the Indiana Pacers. And let's check these standings. The number 3 seed, so not too bad. We were the number 2 seed last year, so a slight regression. Right around 20 points per game for Julian Newman. 8.3 assists per game as well for Julian Newman. Definitely getting those playmaking numbers up to where they should be. First round up against the Cleveland Cavaliers led by Colin Sexton. And we absolutely smacked them in 5. 25-point performance there from Julian Newman in that game. You'll love to see it. Moving us on to the second round. Hopefully we can make it to the championship yet again. But we're going to have to get past a very hard Amani Bates-led team. And it didn't turn out well for us. Amani Bates versus Zion pretty much in the finals here. And the Pelicans yet again come out on top. James Wiseman actually getting finals MVP for the Pelicans, not Zion. So I guess that's somewhat of a breath of fresh air that it was not Zion getting yet another one. 95 overall Bam Adebayo, 91 overall Julian Newman. Mikey Williams gets yet another regular season MVP. This kid has been tearing it up in Toronto, in all honesty. And wow, what a big regression. We missed the playoffs with only 37 wins this season. Definitely surprising to me. 19.2 points per game for Julian Newman. Still shooting a solid clip. I guess we're just going to have to watch this one from the bench this year, fellas. Wizards versus the Pelicans here. Yet again, another very good matchup. It was the Magic versus the Pelicans early on, but now it's starting to be these two. Zion, unfortunately, gets himself yet another Finals MVP. That has to be like number 5 or 6 in the sim. Pretty insane. So moving on to year 13 here. Yet again, Mikey Williams doing his thing. We unfortunately missed the playoffs yet again. I'm very surprised to see this team missing playoffs. Julian Newman doing his thing. And I guess it has something to do with the fact that we no longer have Bam Adebayo this season. I didn't really realize that he dipped. I don't know if he signed a new contract elsewhere, but I didn't really notice that at first. New York Knicks actually making it to the finals here up against the Dallas Mavericks. That's definitely two teams we haven't seen in the finals, I think, this entire sim. So Mavericks end up taking it 4-3, taking it over the Knicks in 7. Definitely kind of interested to see some of the guys are retiring. You know, it's getting pretty late into the sim when Karl-Anthony Towns and Devin Booker just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Julian Newman now at an 87 overall at the age of 34 years old. 3 years left on his contract. Accolades pretty solid, especially for his size and all. So we'll see how year 14 ends up actually turning out, as Julian Newman's still doing his thing. Mikey Williams gets yet another regular season MVP here with the Toronto Raptors, over 30 points per game. Do we make the playoffs is the big question here. And unless we squeaked into one of those bottom seeds, like 7 or 8, it's not looking great for us. And unfortunately, we come in the 9 seed, just missing out on the 8th seed. Tragic times. Julian Newman putting up only 14.9 points per game and 5.3 assists per game. And now at an 88 overall, that regression wall is starting to hit him pretty bad. Finals here up against the Pelicans. You got the Indiana Pacers. I don't think they really stand too much of a chance. 4-1 victory right there for the Pelicans. And I wonder if Zion gets himself yet another Finals MVP in this sim. The world may never know. Moving into year 15 here. In year 15 of Julian Newman's career, he's still hanging in there at an 85 overall. 35 years old. I wonder if he's still going to be the starting point guard for this team and still get about like 30 minutes a game. Because after last season, those stats really weren't holding up to where he should probably be. But we'll see. Chet actually gets MVP this year. That's something a little bit different with the Charlotte Hornets. And let's see what the standings are looking like. We yet again missed playoffs, but this time we were the worst team in the Eastern Conference. You don't love to see it. Julian Newman putting up 12.5 points per game and 4.2 assists per game. His time in the NBA is almost up. Spurs versus the Nets here. A lot of creative players at this point. The Nets do have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, though. So let's see how this one actually plays out. The Nets are up 3-2. The Spurs come back and actually win, getting 2 straight right there. Moving into year 16. Julian Newman, 82 overall. Mikey Williams gets a regular season MVP, yet again averaging over 30 points per game. This kid has been going nuts this entire sim. Looking at the standings for this year, we have 40 wins and we barely missed playoffs yet again. And our boy Julian Newman only putting up about 9 points per game. Definitely down bad right now. Raptors with Mikey Williams up against the Ja Morant-led Grizzlies. And let's see who actually comes out on top. Actually, the Grizzlies no longer have Ja Morant. So I was actually capping. But the Grizzlies do end up winning with Randy Mann, their new point guard, actually getting Finals MVP. So, I'm assuming this was probably Julian Newman's last career year here. And let's take a look. Julian Newman is going to retire with some likes of some other pretty good solid guys here. But 81 overall, Julian Newman had a pretty good career. I'm not going to lie. Especially for being 5'7", it's kind of hard to do too much at that height. Julian Newman, of course, gets his jersey retired, along with Colin Sexton, Terrence Clark, and some other guys, but none of them actually make the Hall of Fame. No Hall of Fame inductees from this year, which is kind of crazy. And some of these, I don't know how high he'll be on them, because in reality, Julian Newman had a very good career. Multiple-time All-Star, made some All-NBA teams, but he was not too crazy. But since we got to this point in the video, and you guys are here, while we're scrolling, comment GOAT, G-O-A-T, in all capitals if you really made it this far throughout the video. I really do appreciate you all that watch the entire videos. It helps me out a ton. If you haven't already, smash the like button and let me know who to do down below next in the comments. I thought this one was kind of an interesting one. I thought you guys would really enjoy it. So let's see what he actually did get here. Since he was on the all-defensive team so much, let's take a look at the steals, because obviously he must have been getting it done. Julian Newman coming in 15th right there all-time in steals with over 2,100 steals in his career. And why not take a look at steals per game, because I'm sure he should be on that pretty decently high as well, because he was getting it done on that end of the ball as well. Of course, his around 20 point per game seasons were not enough to kind of get him on the overall points or even points per game or any of that. So we'll just have to take what we were given with Julian Newman here. So looking at the steals, let's see steals per game and see where he actually ended up all time among those. So 33 with 1.79 steals per game. Not too bad at all. Definitely pretty solid. And look at some of the team records. Of course, Julian Newman holds a lot of those. And I'll kind of go through them as the video ends. Yet again, if you guys made it this way all through the video, I really do appreciate it. Let me know who next. Smash the like button. Bean Squad, I really do love all of you. Peace. I'll talk to you guys soon.